The Spirit of Nature, The Origins of Life, Part 2. So, this is something I've brought up even on Sun and Moon, like 4.5 years ago, about how everything looks alike, like in species terms. You know, it's got 2 legs, this frog, it's got 2 arms, it's got a head, a body, you know what I mean? It's so similar to the human body. It has got some differences. I mean, for one, it's an amphibian, and the structure of its head to its body is kind of different. You know what I mean? But well, feet, all that kind of thing. You know what I mean? The skin's different with it being amphibian and all that kind of stuff. But the similarities though, there's not much different. It's kind of like we've even got like opposable thumbs, which is like something kind of really rare. This is a diagram I drew on. Well, I've redrawn it, but I've drawn it several times throughout being on streams and stuff. This is where you've got a skull and then you got a backbone, right? Now that's like, a snake's got that, right? Other things have kind of like got more built on it and stuff like. It's excluding insects and like micro life and all that kind of thing, like. But for like birds and fish and mammals, we all have shoulder blades or equivalents. For a fish, it's fins, you know what I mean, or whatever and stuff. But we all have a rib cage, and then we all have pelvic area. So from there, from the shoulder blades, we can have like arms, legs, or wings that'll come off it and stuff like. Like a dog's got legs there and stuff, birds, wings, etc. And then legs from bottom as well. Although when you consider like a bird, its feet work like hands, don't they? Because to pick things up with its feet and all that kind of stuff. So it's like we're all the same but mixed up in ways and stuff like. So when you look at your speciation in this sense, we can see it. It's very familiar, you know what I mean, or very similar kind of thing. There's not much difference at all, kind of thing. So like you connect this to the source code in a sense. Is that the right term? I don't know if that's been used for other things. But the code to the source, to the chakra, everything comes from there. So that's where everything gets its speciation from. There's your opposable thumbs and your frogs and toads. But then looking at this as well, because this is like a hand, it's got the same kind of pattern, you know what I mean? It spreads out, that's what your hand does, doesn't it, kind of thing. Like, I mean, there's so many ways, like your brain kind of follows that pattern and etc., you know what I mean? But it's a path of speciation, which I kind of think, is it ignored? Have people thought of it before? And so this is a different aspect of it. It's like ignoring the different arms and legs of dogs, chickens, bulls, and whatever else, right? Looking at the sperm and speciating from there. Because this is, this is what it were before it became a person, or whatever creature it is, kind of thing. So you can see the speciation. And then following from this, is it my next picture? No. Hang on. You got plant and algae sperm cells. So it's they are quite varied in ways and stuff like. But you look at them, I mean, it looks like an insect, or some of them look kind of familiar in those kind of senses and stuff like micro life and stuff. I mean, it is micro life anyway when you look at it like that. But this is what we were. You know what I mean? We started off like this, didn't we? And then we grew into what we've grown into now. So rather than looking at that and trying to figure out how, the speciation and stuff like, because we're missing a link, it doesn't even start there. You know what I mean? The missing link's more around here. Like when we're looking at the sperm and stuff, that's like, if we're going to connect ourselves to monkeys, you'd get a human and a monkey sperm aligned, rather than just looking at this kind of angle of things. You know what I mean? Because it's a fully grown thing. You know what I mean? Obviously, they're all different, the different species and stuff like. But also, they all share something, which implies that they all came from the same. See, that's what scientists like assume, that everything came from one entity or one group of entities. But why are we dismissing the trees? Basically, when I look at people, I'm thinking that, I mentioned like your skeleton and your muscle tissue and stuff like that kind of thing. Also skin, because we've got all these features on plants, like an orange skin or an apple skin or a tree's bark, Um, There's so many references that we have between trees and stuff like. Um, and not to mention reproductive systems. Um, Plants have that, and they're much more basic than we are. You know what I mean? And then when you look at everything else, um, all the other variety of life and stuff, it's like almost really what I kind of think is like life got access here. It were able to like scout and explore with like plant life, and then it were able to understand what the environment were, what the conditions were, and stuff like that. And then it eventually uh, released more life as it built up its network and got more complex and stuff like. And then, it kind of went on that way. But yeah, example here, like it's a bit blurry, but it's quite a big picture. But it shows you like, this is like going towards plants and trees, and then it gets to there, that splits off and it goes its own way. You got your jellyfish down here, but it split off before it got to the mushroom. You know what I mean? And I kind of think this is a valid aspect of things. Like I say, it's like that's like your brain, your your heart and kidneys and liver and stuff like that kind of thing. More like fruits and vegetables in a sense and stuff. Um, and it's like I say, it's explored the area. It's done everything necessary, all the research necessary before it produces its next form of life. You know what I mean? It couldn't produce that unless it understood the material and medium that we're going to survive in. You know what I mean? The water and stuff like. Um, and there's no evolutionary path. It's like I could fairly say that there were no evolution. Everything were born from plants. So you know what I mean? It's as well as we go through, kind of thing like. So basically, all this it should all be merged into one, and then blossom out, and it releases all its life, kind of thing. I'd have to draw a different one or something, but I'll have to think about that and work on it. But all of them can't exist without the other one. They all work together, kind of thing. Because it's so small, and how it's not that much different from some of them examples of sperms and stuff. This is a plant sperm. Fern, this one. That's another fern. Largest seeds in the world. Just chuck them in there from coconut tree. Like a double coconut seed or whatever it is. Is the reproductive parts of a plant. So you got your ovary, obviously the pollen produces the sperm and all that kind of stuff. It don't turn to sperm until it touches the ovary, the egg kind of thing, like one or other. But actually, before I got onto this, I want to go onto this. You got Sacadechia, if that's pronounced properly. um, Details of reproduction of syads or kyads. One of 4 haploid megaspores in each ovule potentially produces a highly multicellular but dependent female gametophyte, bearing one or more archegonia, each containing an egg cell. Motile sperm cells are eventually produced by the pollen grains or gametophytes that develop from microspores. Once pollen grains are dispersed into the vicinity of a micropyle of the ovule, a pollen tube delivers the sperm in close proximity to the archegonium, where the motile sperm may swim through a droplet of nectar-like fluid to reach the egg, which just sounds like humans. You know, I mean, it says motile, so it's not exactly. It was different from mobile, but motility, the ability of an organism to move independently using metabolic energy, can be contrasted with sessility. But sessility is the state of organisms that do not possess a means of self-locomotion, locomotion, sorry, and are normally immobile. But that's sessility. It's not motility. That that contrasts with hot and cold are 2 different contrasts, but and it also spoke about its swimming. So motility differs from mobility, the ability of an object to be moved. The term vigility encompasses both motility and mobility. Sessile organisms, including plants, fungi, or but either way, I'm kind of like, it's kind of like a lead. It's like understanding the word motility in its proper sense and stuff like is another thing. I'll more research, but it is definitely a lead in that kind of direction. So another thing is like the bark on the tree, how like it looks like a snake skin. So there's a bigger picture. So then there's the Naka Cave in Thailand. Recently found a giant petrified snake, and this is supposed to be it, but it's like a cavern, you know what I mean, or a canyon kind of thing. And this part's more open and it's showing you a bit of detail or whatever and stuff like. But that it looks too tall to be a snake, and it's like right next to the other side, like 2 walls basically. It's not really showing you what you'd expect for it kind of thing. Like, I'll skip in. Like what, it coiled up along itself. Water could have washed underneath the rock. Maybe. It depends. My first thought was, is it another giant tree? You know what I mean? Rather than a giant snake or whatever and stuff like. So see all there. See, it's broken away there, kind of thing. Like, you can see all pattern at top and all that kind of stuff. Like that snake skin, and again you can see it there. But it's like it's just too tall. And then when you consider that if each trees were growing differently, like I was speaking about them growing outwards to try to create more of a stronger base for itself and stuff. I mean, you look at how it's slumped, like almost like like the weight of it is so heavy, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, it's how it's growing, you know. So if, you know, more likely to be a tree in a sense. But at the same time, when we're talking about speciation, so it's like reptilian creatures, snakes, lizards, etc., would have maybe potentially come from one of these type of trees. It boasts eggs, you know what I mean? So at the base of a tree, you get these, well, I think reasonably sized kind of eggs, kind of big. Well, no, not eggs, they're fruits, but it produces eggs within it before it produces a fruit. The egg turns into the fruit, kind of thing. But these are from the small plants that we've got, and like the giant trees of the past, like the complexity, the power that they would be able to, you know, what would they produce from that kind of thing. And I don't think life is that much of a difficult expectation from it. A tree is alive anyway, so another thing I want to mention about it. Zycus is a genus of plants belonging to a very ancient lineage, the Psychodophyta, which are not closely related to palms, ferns, trees, or any other modern group of plants. They are evergreen perennials which achieved their maximum diversity in the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, when they were distributed almost worldwide. At the end of the Cretaceous, when the non-avian dinosaurs became extinct, so did the cycas in the northern hemisphere. So that's like, you know, when they became extinct, that's almost like referencing the Great Fire, you know. The bird, the non-avian dinosaurs became extinct, but the avian dinosaurs, it doesn't say that. So it's like, you know, the ones that could fly, say, I mean, how big were the fires? How much did they consume? You know, I mean, it's like, were there any safe places? You know what I mean? It's like the entire atmosphere would be kind of flooded with smoke and stuff like. So also the Jurassic and Cretaceous, obviously the time periods, I kind of think all that needs to be reassessed and stuff. But also another thing, which are not closely related to palms, ferns, trees, or any other modern group plants and stuff like. And I already showed you the what's it called, the fern sperm cells in the look mobile or motile. I don't know how mobile motile is. You know what I mean, in a sense. So another thing I wanted to look at is like the comparison. It's like that's where the egg is, so that's where it's going to develop. A fruit or you know what I mean, the fruits and vegetables develop there, kind of thing. So, or not vegetables as such, but so then there's stuff like this. Now, this is just a grass seed, but I try to ask people and all that kind of thing, like, because it looks like the body, like the thorax of an insect. Its abdomen would be out there, and its head would be there, kind of thing, like, and its legs have come off its abdomen, don't it? And it's even got like bent knee areas. I think like the sun has bent it or whatever. It's got fur. It's coming in a little bit. So it's like, you know, a plant can produce all that in a sense, like. Also, like the casing is almost, as it dries out, it becomes more like a wing-like substance. It is different, but at the same time, it's showing you in a way. It's almost there. It's only a grass seed, so it's not like complex as such. But you know, like insects aren't that complex apart from when you can consider like the brain. That's the original one. We're hiding that part, so you can still see what it is. But But like the complex of an insect's brains, its eyes, its digestive system, for how small an insect is. Um, so anyway, so here we've got like all these grass seeds together, and an example of if these were living, if these were how things were born, if this came off like one of these giant trees, and these were like as big as people, you know what I mean? You can see where they're like getting fed, you know what I mean, through the stem. People's a long shot in a sense. They look more like parrots. You see its wings and all that kind of thing. That's like the seed casing or the bud casing and stuff. Its head would be stuck into the stem. And you got this kind of shape here. You know what I mean? Oval kind of shape. And then you got it. See how its head would be there kind of thing. Its body, its tail. It could be fish. You know what I mean? If fish were the mother plant which were underwater and it were just producing so much life, you know what I mean? Life appropriate for where it were growing. It's like because like you've got Arctic regions, you've got tropical regions and all that kind of stuff. Like so the tree, as big as it were, produced as much life as it were and stuff. We're able to create all sorts of stuff really. Again, like, you know, the casing. It's like the bird's feathers underneath and stuff like that. And it sounds like a long shot when I'm saying I'm looking at grass seeds and saying this, but at the same time, when you compare it with everything else, and praying mantis is really intelligent as well, and you know, in ways and stuff. Water skater, mosquito. You see how it would fit in the stem, and that's its head, and that's the grass seed. It's kind of like it's almost the same when we speciate it in that kind of sense and be open-minded that the forest is just not what it used to be and the potential for what it could have been, then you know what I mean, like I said, that's like a bud casing, and inside its body is like a bud. And there's so many different insects and stuff. Like I don't like mosquitoes. And there's loads of different types of grass seeds as well. I could have got loads of different ones and stuff like to show you different examples, but you kind of get the idea and stuff. See, this is corn and cob. You see how it looks like the parrot? I'll turn it upside down. See, like its wings, there's its tail, maybe its belly on that side. See, its head's going to the top that way. Another example of it. I mean, obviously it's corn and cob, but these look like birds. And you've got to like, I kind of think there's so many different ways that life could have emerged. And this is one of them kind of thing, like we were developed inside one of these. It's like if you were fed through the mouth, you might not have had a belly button. So the original humans might have not had a belly button because they were born off a tree. And they left the tree like an apple does to spread its seed elsewhere, which is how we have people outside of trees. But you would have had to have an original race which came from the trees as such kind of thing. More flowery colours, because it's not just the grass seed kind of pattern that we're looking at and stuff like. You see, it goes dark and white, like a lot of insect legs or spider legs and stuff like that. it's like there's millions and millions of examples and stuff. That's not supposed to be there, is that one? That's like a beetle shell. A ladybird, all of them kind of beetle-like. Yeah, like a flower. And the human expression. It's like his torso, it's like his chest, its arms, all that kind of thing. Like a seed. Another one, I can't get colour properly, but when you see them, they look like grass seeds and stuff like. That's not supposed to be there either. I'm supposed to say that for the next one. This is what was it? Dragon mantis. But very thick, like thick insects and stuff. See, it's like its shell, the bud opening, the seed casing opening, the leaf coming out of the bud. As you unravel the bud to get to the flower or the fruit, which would be its body, and that'd be its petals. So you got red petals in this one on the seed casing. You got the fruit of what it is, the mushroom part, which would be intellect and the brain and all that kind of thing. Black triangle. It's an Illuminati one. A moth, looking like wood. There's another one that looks better. Yeah, that one. It's like broken wood. You can see colour. And how small they can be. This is quite large when you look at like some of the small insects and stuff like, but again, like grass seeds. One of those dragon mantis. Normal mantis, but you can see a leaf and, like I said, the grass fruit part kind of thing in a sense. I was like fish scales, although fish scales isn't keratin, which I thought it were. Example of a flower bud. See, as it's produced everything inside it. It's like the chakra did all its work within there, and then it opens up and reveals itself. Which, then I'm looking at everything like this, like moths and butterflies and whatever, you know what I mean? People, obviously, and and seeing the relationship. Because, for one thing, it's the source of food for all life, is plants. You know what I mean? It's gonna like, it's supposed to be a bit organised with that. You see, all that were developed inside there. As it's opening up, it's kind of coming out and stuff, and the flower's going to take form, and you know what I mean? It'll do its function and stuff. A butterfly looking like a dead leaf. Its expression of nature. Also smiling, you know what I mean? So it's got like a human quality there in a sense. See, that's produced in there. It's got that casing. Oh, seeds, beetles. How they open up. Oh, that looks like grass seeds. Or leaves. Its wings fold over up and back. You know, it's not much different from how, you know, how you see patterns fold over on a bird's back and stuff. I mean, I'll network up into the neuropath patterns. That's what it kind of makes me think of. On the leaf kind of thing. But then it's repeated in the animal as well. Insect. A mantis. And a gecko. That's a bit more advanced than insects. But the resemblance is kind of like her kind of thing. And then we've got these pupas for butterflies. And now, as a representation of like a flower bud, it's still doing the same kind of movement and pattern. As the casing breaks away, it even looks like a flower itself. So like these insects, this kind of speciation, it's kind of like showing you where it's going kind of thing. And then they even like eat from the flower as well. That's its source of food. I'm playing mantis. Looking like flowers. That's a previous for a moth. There's your moth. Quite complex with its ears and all that kind of thing. So now, this is a butterfly hawk moth. Maybe not a butterfly one, but it's got the bee kind of colours and stuff like. Even its wings are a bit more like bee-like. Also, it's Fibonacci. It's code for intelligent design. And again, feeding from flowers. It's much more complex though. Its eye is much more developed, its body's more developed. This one's got like butterfly wings rather than the insect wings and stuff. And obviously it connects with like the hummingbird. It's like the next thing is that. And again, it's almost, the hummingbird is like an expression of a flower. You know what I mean? It's not much different at all, and it feeds from the flowers as well, just like the butterfly does. It's like